Whoopi Goldberg, who, by the way, I hope is still a friend, we can disagree with each other, should not be canceled or put off her show, as much as I totally disagree with her crazy statement. Free speech. She should be there. She shouldn't get a timeout.
Not every single thing has to be for everybody.
Right.
We can have platforms that have stuff on them that not everyone on that platform or who consumes stuff on that platform enjoys. And The View is a particularly weird place to do a cancellation.
Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
there is one view.
Picture this: Bill Maher and Whoopi Goldberg, two longtime figures in American entertainment, both legends in their own right, suddenly caught in a clash that feels less like a casual disagreement and more like a no-holds-barred fight. They were never exactly close friends, but there was always an unspoken sense of respect, at least on the surface lately, that has shattered wide open. And what is pouring out is straight drama, not the lightweight reality show type, but a raw ideological battle public. Shade, and a loud reminder that in modern America, even old connections cannot withstand the cultural wars. So what triggered this conflict? Well, get ready, because it is spicier than expected. It all began when Arnold Schwarzenegger, yes, that Arnold, the former governor, appeared on The View. The man knows plenty about the immigrant journey. He arrived in the United States with almost nothing but ambition, and as Bill Maher joked, maybe a container of protein powder.
Or the panel. What is the panel's reaction to Arnold Schwarzenegger saying that immigrants should behave like guests? Well, they're truncating that a little, but that is basically what he said. And he is, of course, an immigrant himself. He came here with nothing but a loincloth and a jar of... and a jar of protein powder, and look how far he got. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
I completely agree.
And look at him today, Hollywood legend, a former governor, a worldwide figure. So when Arnold declared that immigrants should act like guests, it was classic Schwarzenegger, straightforward, unapologetic. And to many people, just common sense. But not in the eyes of Whoopi. To her, his words were not simply blunt. They were demeaning, patronizing, and offensive to immigrant groups. And if you have ever tuned into The View, you know the setup is not exactly welcoming for opposing views. So when Schwarzenegger stood firm, Whoopi stiffened. The atmosphere was heavy enough to slice through. Now here is where Bill Maher steps in. Rather than staying on the sidelines or attempting to calm the waters, Maher did what he always does. He leaned into the storm. He openly supported Arnold's take, calling it fair, sensible, and completely rational. And that was the breaking point for Whoopi, because for her, it was not only about disagreeing, it was about feeling that Maher was backing a perspective that diminished immigrants. And in her eyes, that was not merely tone deaf, it was aggressive. What had once been a fragile mutual respect between the two celebrities suddenly looked like a permanent divide.
They're going to sometimes have a very different opinion. And the answer is not to make them sit in a corner for 2 weeks. That is insulting. It's so insulting to make a 65-year-old, the person at ABC News said, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. Reflect. How insulting for someone of her age, who's a sophisticated person, and the impact of her comment. There is no impact. There aren't neo-Nazis waiting for the green light from a lady on The View to go out and do a new crystal knot.
And the whole point of free speech is we don't need free speech when we're right, when everyone agrees with us. We need free speech when we're wrong.
Now, let us be honest for a moment. Was Arnold really wrong? Think about it. When you are a visitor in someone's home, you show courtesy. You do not wreck the place. You do not ignore the rules. And you certainly do not behave like the host owes you anything that is not controversial. It is just basic respect. Yet somehow saying immigrants should act like considerate guests has turned into a scandal. Why? Because we live in a time where plain common sense is treated like a crime of hate, and Maher understands that, which is why he did not hesitate. He did not soften it or hide behind political correctness. He simply agreed and said, yes, this makes sense. And for Whoopi, that was something she could not forgive. But here is the twist. Bill Maher, despite being as confrontational as he often is, never called for Whoopi to be canceled. He did not push for ABC to fire her or send her into Hollywood exile. Instead, he argued the opposite. He defended her right to say whatever outrageous thing she wanted. Because in his view, free speech means defending the right to be mistaken, to say things that anger others, to express views people may despise. And that is the entire point.
Whoopi Goldberg, who, by the way, I hope is still a friend, we can disagree with each other, should not be canceled or put off her show, as much as I totally disagree with her crazy statement. Free speech. She should be there. She shouldn't get a timeout.
And truthfully, he is correct. We do not need free speech. When everyone is in agreement, we need it when the message is unpopular, but that is exactly where Whoopi seems to falter. She has no issue expressing her own takes, but when others step outside her ideological circle suddenly, it is labeled disrespectful, dangerous, or worthy of cancellation. And if you think that is overstated, just look at The View itself. The show is not really a place for balanced discussion. It is an echo chamber disguised as political analysis. It is called The View, not The Views, because in reality there is usually just one narrative being pushed at that table, and anyone who dares to think otherwise is quickly shut down with mockery, eye rolls, and smug dismissal.
It's called The View?
It's called The View. It's not called The Facts.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that it's called, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America. There
clearly
is one view.
Have you ever noticed that the so-called conservatives they bring in, like Alyssa Farah Griffin, are basically placed there as targets? The second they start talking, you can practically see Sunny Hostin's glare cutting right through them. It is not a real debate. It is more like a firing line, and viewers are expected to act like this is some shining example of democracy. Give me a break.
The point is they didn't vote for him because of racism and misogyny. They voted for him because they felt like, I think the biggest common denominator in this election is people want a good life and ability to provide for their family.
Well,
and whether we agree or not with Donald Trump's plans,
Black people
they thought that he was reflective.
One of the poorest demographics in this country, but they voted for Kamala Harris.
But there was a split, and more of them voted for Donald Trump than had historically. I think that there's such a desire. If you really think the vast majority of this country voted because of racism and misogyny, you're missing it. Most of my family, a lot of my family doesn't have college degrees.
But the stats are the stats.
But that's not, it doesn't say I'm white, I voted for Donald Trump because of racism. That's not what that. What stat are you talking about?
You can't dissect the two.
Yes, you can. There's a lot
hold on.
But Maher actually thrives on debate. He embraces it. He does not want to shut down Whoopi, even when he believes she is completely wrong. And that is why this clash is more than just two celebrities squabbling. It is a reflection of the wider cultural divide in America today. Think about it. On one side, you have people like Maher who, whether you agree with them or not, still defend the core value of open discussion. On the other side, you have people like Whoopi who say they support diversity until that diversity involves diversity of thought, then it instantly turns into attack mode. And the hypocrisy is overwhelming. The left constantly preaches tolerance, inclusivity, and acceptance, but the moment you step outside their bubble or question the untouchable narratives, suddenly you are branded a bigot, a villain, or worse, erased. It is not truly about debate. It is about control.
It just made me think. I'm sure every single member of the Saturday Night Live cast was a Harris supporter. But what if one of them wasn't? What if one of those cast members was for Trump? Would they have felt comfortable saying so? I really don't think so. They would have had to keep it to themselves. That's not a good place for us to be. And I remember when Elon Musk hosted, and this is well before he was a Trumper. This is 3 or 4 years. He was just the richest man in the world. And a number of the cast members on Saturday Night Live, they didn't want to deal with him. And I was thinking, really? You have Elon Musk on your show for a week. You could talk even about this issue that bothers you so much, that he's so rich and lots of people aren't. But no, you don't want to even deal with him. That's what I hate about them.
And let us not forget this entire drama played out against the backdrop of immigration debates, Kamala Harris and her disastrous stint as border czar, and Trump's unexpected gains with minority voters. You can mock Trump all you want, but the numbers do not lie. He is breaking through in areas Democrats once thought were untouchable. And instead of seriously examining why that shift is happening, the ladies on The View dismiss it all as racism and misogyny, which is not only lazy, but flat out wrong.
Harris would be the first woman president, first black woman president, and first Asian president. But I don't vote for who will be the first. I vote for who will win. And for whatever reason, Harris has never been popular. You can count the number of delegates she won in the 2020 primaries on one hand, as long as that hand has no fingers. Sometimes life isn't fair. It's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact was put in charge of the border. And look at how, okay, bad example.
People do not cast their votes out of some vague sense of hatred. They vote because they want stability, opportunity, employment, safety, and the ability to support their families. And if Democrats keep brushing those concerns off as nothing more than prejudice, they're going to lose far more support than they understand. But you will never hear that truth on The View.
I touched on that a little bit. I think whenever you have a candidate like Kamala Harris that clearly was not the choice of the Democrat Party, when she got shoehorned into that space, and then you tried to roll out Megan Thee Stallion and Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, and everybody was trying to say, hey, black men, let's vote for this now. I mean, it just really didn't work.
Well, most of them still did.
Well, one in three black men in the state of Texas voted for President Trump.
Okay, well, let's use men and in the state.
Well, I'm being very specific here because it does matter. We are seeing a seismic shift, and that's the most vote, the highest vote that we got in the Republican Party in the history.
No doubt about it. Trump did better with minorities across the board each time he ran.
So where does this leave the Maher-Whoopi conflict, honestly? It is no longer just about them. It is about what kind of public conversation we want in this nation. Do we want echo chambers where disagreement is crushed? Or do we want messy, uncomfortable, but real debate? Maher, love him or hate him, has clearly chosen the second path. He is saying, even if I think you are crazy, you still deserve the right to speak. Whoopi, on the other hand, appears locked inside the cancel culture mindset, ready to shame, ready to scold, ready to exile anyone who steps too far outside her script. And that is why this clash is not fading anytime soon, because it is not just personal, it is political, it is cultural, it is symbolic of the battle over free speech itself. But here is the twist that makes it more compelling. Despite all the insults, despite all the tension, Maher still refers to Whoopi as a friend. He does not want her canceled. He does not want her silenced. He simply wants her to recognize that disagreement is not the same as erasure, and that is a strong stance in an era where cancel culture dominates.
Not every single thing has to be for everybody.
Right.
We can have platforms that have stuff on them that not everyone on that platform or who consumes stuff on that platform enjoys. And The View is a particularly weird place to do a cancellation.
So let me put this back on you. Whose side are you taking? Do you believe Maher is right to defend free expression even when it protects views we cannot stand? Or do you think Whoopi is right that some words go too far and should never be allowed? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this debate goes way beyond two television figures. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and pass this video along to someone who enjoys a cultural showdown, because this feud is far from finished. And neither is the conversation. At the end of the day, the Maher-Whoopi battle is not just celebrity drama. It is a reflection of the biggest question facing America right now. Are we still a nation that values open dialogue, or are we letting outrage mobs control who gets to speak? One thing is certain: the sparks are flying, and I am absolutely here for it.